Nugent is one opinionated man, and he shares some of those opinions in his book, Ted, White and Blue, The Nugent Manifesto. And Ted Nugent joins me now. Ted Nugent.
Greetings. How are you, Piers?
I'm looking forward to this.
Thanks for having me here, man.
I'm going to say, for probably all the wrong reasons, I've been looking forward to this. It's like meeting a kind of...
There are no wrong reasons.
Television matador. I've seen all your previous interviews.
And you're the bull? I'm the matador.
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure which one is the bull.
I'll guide you through this.
You're confident, aren't you?
Yes. Have you noticed that?
You think you're going to take me down?
No, not at all. Are you needing to be taken? If you need to be taken down, I shall respond.
No, but I read a great line where you gave this interview.
All my lines are great, but go ahead.
You gave an interview to some guy on a BBC show.
Boy, did they need me there, huh?
And just to describe how you thought things went with this British interview, you said, they sent this young limey prick who pretended to be my friend. He tried to, with me, on all these politically incorrect levels. I gutted him. I danced on his skull.
But before I gutted him
on my skull?
But before I gutted him and danced on his skull, I was so hospitable and loving and welcoming him to the Nugent tribe that when he tried his little tricks on me and his leftist thing to get against my hunting and my guns, for example, how could I not gut him? But I gutted him with tender, loving care and with truth and logic. And even at the end, he finally went, "Uncle!" It was beautiful, because I'm right, he was wrong. It's the story of my life.
I mean, you have this completely, I don't know, irrefutable self-logic that everything you say is right.
Yeah, and your point would be what?
My point would be, I mean, do you ever accept that you might be wrong?
Mrs. Nugent's here. Was there a time? Let's put it this way. I'm 63. I've been clean and sober my whole life. I was raised in a hardcore, disciplined environment to be the best that I can be and not guess at things, but to study evidence, study conditions, be aware of my cause and effect, and make a decision not based on what felt good or what was comfortable for me, but rather what lessons of life taught me. So when I put forth what people call an opinion, I mean, and you stop me if you disagree with my opinion, I'm sure you will, but I don't project opinions as much as I do share observations of life's realities and the evidence that brings either a quality of life when adhered and learned from, or destroyed life when ignored and not learned.
What's your view of America right now?
My view of America right now is so beautiful I can hardly stand myself. Now, that being said, we want to celebrate the good while we scrutinize and put our heart and soul into fixing the bad and ugly. So there's lots of good. Americans are still producing and still giving. We have the terrible victims of the floods now on the Mississippi. We have the terrible victims of the fires in Texas. We have the tragedy of the victims of the tornadoes in the South. You know what I think about America? Unlimited generosity. People traveling thousands of miles to help people they don't even know. That's the glowing, unstoppable
What don't you like about America?
I don't like about America is what is being celebrated in politics, where instead of being the best that you can be, we seem to be engineering more and more safety nets, which creates, encourages, and rewards an uncaring disconnect.
What do you mean safety nets?
Well, safety nets, welfare, for example. Welfare isn't just about helping the needy anymore. Welfare is now about rewarding people who take advantage of the corruption and abuse of that condition. That's more widespread than actual needy people getting help. I don't know how often you shop around this country or how often you hang out with people around this country, but it is not, like the president said, the America he doesn't know that people are using food stamps for something other than good nutrition. You gotta be kidding me! We've got a bunch of idiots out there that are absolutely raping and pillaging and otherwise positive humanitarian system.
One of the problems, and I've studied your work for a while, and I admire...
No wonder you glow. You have a certain glow.
Well, I admire the passion you bring to it. I've no problem with people having opinions, even if I don't agree with some of them. My issue about you and the welfare thing is to me, it showed no sense of compassion for people who have genuine problems, who genuinely need it. Your judgment, if you don't mind me saying, is all-encompassing. It's all sweeping. You think they're all on the fiddle.
No, I don't. No, I don't. But I don't think I know, and the statistics support, once again, my sharing with you the statistics, that the abuse, the corruption in that system is not about helping someone who, through no fault of their own, fell on hard times, but widespread abuse.
Yeah, but I've said you say you don't have a welfare system for armed forces people, for example.
Well, certainly. I've always raved that the most important, the most deserving are the children who, through no fault of their own, encounter horrible diseases and conditions, and the heroes of the military who literally knowingly went into harm's way to sacrifice their limbs.
Which
so
I agree with, and I have a brother who's in the British Army.
But let me put it this way,
let me finish my thread on that.
All right.
I have a brother who's in the Army, so I totally
God
subscribe
bless
to your
him,
view of the forces. But that doesn't mean to say that they are any less susceptible to being corrupt when it comes to welfare than anybody else, does it?
No, not at all. In fact, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of waste in even those government programs. I mean, I know a lot of guys, my wife and my family and I do charity work for military heroes all the time, and I got guys with no legs that went into that war on terror hellstorm knowing that they would probably not come out without any legs or arms and maybe in a flag-draped coffin, but they went anyway because that's the warrior spirit that they have. And they're still waiting for their prosthetics. They're still waiting for the special wheelchair. But maybe there's some child rapist in prison who's getting a new liver transplant this week. That's the corruption, the abuse in a most outrageous.
I mean, you're very pro the troops, and I get that. But you yourself, I mean, you dodged the draft in Vietnam.
No, now see, I'm glad we're here on the Piers Morgan Show to set that straight for the 10 millionth time.
Set the record straight.
No, I did not dodge the trap. I was 17, and I was a clueless idiot, which most 17s qualify. I bet you were.
No, I was quite smart.
Being that as it may, no, I was enrolled in Oakland Community College, and I had a 1Y deferment. Did I register? And I registered. Did I volunteer? No. Should I have? Yes.
Do you regret that?
You know, I do regret it on one level. On the most important, fundamental level, is that I have a duty to earn this experience in we the people's self-government. And I've spent my time, and I've intentionally put myself in harm's way going over to Iraq and Afghanistan, right into the hell zones of unnamed trenches and the Afghanistan danger zones. I did that.
Is part of that a guilt thing on your part?
No, not a guilt thing. It was just the right thing to do. At some point, you know, let's pretend I was a heroin addict when I was 17. Would you bring that up if I've been clean and sober for 50 years?
Probably, yeah.
You're such a bastard. But see, I wouldn't. I would say, my God, you haven't done that stupid thing in so long. Let's stick with the clean and sober longevity instead of going back and nitpicking of something that you obviously overcame. So I was a foolish young man who didn't understand. Well, how's this, Piers? When I graduated, how old are you?
I'm 46.
All right, I know you respect your elders. I'll be 63. When I graduated, if you said, so, Mr. Nugent, tell me all about communism, I'd go, isn't that where the hippies get together and live? I was clueless. In my American education upbringing, I never heard about communism. I didn't know anything about it. So do you think I regret not making a decision based on not knowing anything? And I've made up for it since. Not through guilt, but through the maturity of finally knowing what the right thing to do is. And though I was a little bit late, I at least carried my own M16 when I was over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that all sounds very heroic. But I mean, the truth is that when
I wasn't heroic.
When
the guys that are there all the
that's
time.
what I'm saying. I mean, you had the option when you were young to go to Vietnam. You could have done that. I see the way you are now with the armed forces and the fact that
how about they call the guys a chicken hawk? I was 17 and 18. Why don't you give me a break? That was, what, 50 years ago, kids?
But lots of
40-some years ago.
Lots of 17 and 18-year-olds at the time
maybe better,
went to war in Vietnam.
Better people than I. Better men than I.
And so I just come back once more to the motivation for why you now do so much stuff.
Because I've learned that freedom is not free, and I found that the reason the whole world sucks and America sucks less is because the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, outlines an experiment where freedom rules the day of individuality, and that can only be secured by crushing those enemies that would take it away. So those warriors that put themselves in the face of that evil enemy, and anybody who would take away our individual rights and our individual freedoms, they're the enemy. They need to be killed. And the guys that went over and did that, they paid the ultimate sacrifice. I've done so many benefits for so many families of dead heroes of the military. I've held so many kids and mothers crying. I've carried flag-draped coffins home from Baghdad. You don't have to do that much. If you had your time again,
I'm going to go to a break in a minute. If you had a time again, I suspect now, the Ted Nugent you've become, you'd go to Vietnam, wouldn't you?
Damn right I would.
So would that be, in your eyes, the biggest mistake of your life, do you think?
No, because that
Is there any nobler sacrifice?
There is no nobler sacrifice, none. But you have to be wise enough, knowledgeable enough to make such a noble decision, and I was incapable of both at that age.
Okay, we're going to have a short break. When we come